Today's episode is something a little bit different. I sat down after a recent studio build catch up call and I asked a couple of the girls to stick around just to share what they thought studio build was before they were in, and then what it actually was, and then what they finished off with. Because I think a lot of people, specifically this last week, I've been on a lot of in alignment calls, and mostly people have questions around what exactly am I doing? What do I get? What does it look like? So who better to hear it from than people that have just finished the beta round, because it's just getting better and better. Now, this is not a sales podcast. This isn't put out because we are in a launch of Studio Build, because actually it's all pretty much sold by end of financial year. I have 2 places left on Studio Build, which I'm open to discussing filling, but I'm not desperate to fill. I'm quite happy to run at a cohort with 13, and I have to cap it out at 15. So if it sounds like something that you don't want to miss out on until September, absolutely reach out to me. But this call is for people who are thinking, I need to document my business outside of AI, and I really need to understand what's possible, what I should be doing, what I need to do to get organized, and just get a bit of a sense of what that could look like if you have some support. So also, so nice to chat to a couple of the girls. So I'm talking today to Oula, who is the founder of Oula La Design. I'm speaking to Emily Beer, who is the founder of Musa Studio in Jindabyne. And I'll be chatting to Natasha Kennedy, who is the principal designer and founder of Project N. All of them do really different things. Some work in commercial, some work in resi, some are doing large-scale events and corporate brand management solutions. So not one size fits all. I should have actually also reached out and chatted to Sam, who was a landscape designer who just did Studio Build, because it works for anyone really. As long as you're a service provider or creative business, you would be able to use Studio Build to build out the studio of your dreams. Anyway, let's catch up with the girls, see what's going on, and they're about 15 to 20-minute chats each. So you can listen to this podcast in 3 parts, or you can take a break, or if you need company while you do something massive, like clean out the children's activity cupboard, as I did yesterday as a school holiday must do, then hopefully I can keep you company along the way and you can listen to these 3 incredibly intelligent, smart interior designers. Okay, let's kick off with Ola. Ola runs Oula La Interior Design out of Sydney, residential and commercial, full end-to-end project management through to single room plans. She came from working with a kitchen cabinetry company. She came to Studio Build with a clear client base and wanted the systems to match. She has done the original framework with me to set up her business over the first 12 months. And this is her second time working with me, so let's hear from Ola. What did you think Studio Build was actually going to be, and what did it actually turn out to be for you instead?
I thought it was going to be just basically learning how to use AI and then doing bits and pieces of running your business behind that. But then what it turned out to be was basically organizing the whole business, making my whole life easier, getting AI to help me do everything that needs to be done without me stressing out about it, and taking whatever would take me 2, 3 hours, I was able to do in half an hour. I actually didn't realize it was going to be that good. I thought it was just going to be a little bit, learning how to, get AI to help me out a little bit makes my life slightly easier, but not to the extent that it was.
And did you, when you first saw the commercial studio brain, which is pretty pre-populated for you guys, there's a lot in there already. You just have to obviously focus on customizing it so it's for you and not for me or for anyone.
Yeah.
When you first saw that, honestly, what was your reaction when it came through?
I was like, "Oh my god, what?" I didn't think I would know how to use it. I didn't think it was gonna be as, I'm not gonna say it was easy doing it. Obviously, there was a lot to get through there, but I thought it was just gonna be like I was gonna dump a whole heap of stuff and never use it again. When I looked at it, I saw, okay, this is a whole thing that supposedly is gonna help me, but to me, it looked overwhelming, and I was gonna go, "I'm probably not gonna use this," and dump it. But once we started Studio Build and we started putting things in and you started explaining it, like now it makes a lot of sense, but everything lives in that. And it's just, wow, I don't need to keep explaining myself to every single AI chat that I have. I was explaining myself and re-explaining myself and notes this and adding this. And now it's just go to here. This is what we're doing. And it's done in 5 minutes. And yeah, it's amazing.
What week did it mic drop? What week do you feel like you went, oh, I see the system?
Yeah, I think it was week 2 a little bit. By week 3, it really made a lot more sense. And then I got it once we started organizing all the Google Drives and skills made a little bit more sense in because week 2 I got it, but not really. And then once I started using them and organizing everything, organizing Notion, organizing the Google Drive, all of that together, then it made sense. I went, oh my God, this is amazing. Wow. And then even in week 4, again, we did a few more things. And then, yeah, that kind of put it together even more. So every week I saw a little bit more and went, oh my God, this is making more and more sense.
It's so hard because I can't come in on week 1. I would explode your brain if I
Yeah.
told you
Yeah.
what you how you'll feel in week 5 and how much it will make sense and what will be capable for you. Everyone would think I was a liar and slam the laptop lid down and leave. Like, it would
Honestly,
and
yeah.
my sales page was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to articulate because I still have people call me on these. I've been in discovery calls all week, and the first question is, "So what am I actually getting? What am I actually doing?" And it's almost like I can't tell you unless I teach you all the way
Yes.
through. So it's a very big trust exercise, which is an unusual way to sell something or to offer something, is to say, "Trust me on this. This works in my business. It works in hundreds of businesses that I've put it into." You will have a moment where you suddenly go, "Ah, so A talks to B and B does C. And what am I doing? Oh, I just had to build A." And then the rest was done.
Exactly.
That's essentially it, but how do you it is a challenge to
Yeah.
articulate that.
I actually found that when because I spoke to you before I started it and said, do you think it's to try and get a bit of information sort of thing? And I did. I just trusted you because you did explain it, but it still didn't make sense to
Yeah,
me.
because you have to learn
What you
it.
said to me, because I know you, and you just said to me, look, I think you will really benefit from this. And I thought, you know what? You've never given me something that I haven't been able to trust you with before. You've helped me with a lot of other things. So I was like, okay, cool. I trust you. I know that I'm going to get something great out of it because I've never done anything with you that I didn't actually end up with amazing things out of them. So I just went, okay, but I still didn't really understand exactly what I was getting myself into. I was like, bit of AI, learning how to use AI with my business, a little bit more than what I already did, because I already did that, but not to the extent that it was. It wasn't until it's not really until you start, then you realize how much. And yes, if you had explained all of that in week 1, you're 100% right. I think I would have gone, forget it. This is too much. Like, because it is. It's very fast paced. But what I did to make it easier for myself is I actually just went over the recordings in my time again and slowly did them, just paused and bit by bit. And whatever we do in the day, then I'd go home that afternoon and just go back to it. And then it would make more sense because I was able to do a little bit more because we only had a little bit of time to do certain things in each call. I'd go over it a little bit more, and then that would actually make so much more sense.
It
Mhm.
feels so much like it's in the doing, not the knowing. Even though
Yes.
you learn it, that's why
Yes.
studio build is so important. It's about getting your hands on it, doing it yourself so that you're not actually just me telling you what a skill is, a project, like how to set it up. Once you've set it up, I think that's why it compounds the learning. And each week you go, okay, so, because I just did that, I see how that does that. And this goes into there. And even in week 1, I do give a good tour of what we're
Yes.
going to do, but I still think I have to be quite reserved because I'm worried people won't show up for week 2 because they'll think,
Yeah, it won't. But you did, I think, in week 1, showing us a little bit was enough because if we get too much, I think it would be a little bit overwhelming because we don't understand it yet. So until we start to understand it, then it's easier to. But if I had known, you said we're going to do a skill and we're going to do a this and we're going to do, I would have been, okay, I'm not going to be able to do all this.
yeah.
This is for someone that's really techie because I'm pretty good on a computer, but I wouldn't call myself that techie.
And women are notoriously hard on ourselves in technology and in that space and thinking, oh, if we don't already know it, we can sometimes doubt our capacity to get to know it. So we can sometimes just be like, oh, I'm seeing all this stuff on the internet. It looks really complicated, but I'm not taking you into coding. I was never going to take you
Yes.
there. That
No,
is
no.
complicated.
You
I'm
just make
only
it.
ever going to take you where you, and your studio, you're running studios for design work. You don't need to go there. Like,
Yeah.
then you would just get distracted, excited, but you wouldn't get paid because that's not your job. It's my job. It's not going to help you.
Yeah, no, the way you did it was great. I will say you do need to, like you said, if you don't actually make it, you could have sat there and explained all these things. because we were doing them then and then, you were showing us how to do it while we did it as well. That's what made it click.
Yeah.
That's what made it easier to understand. If you'd given me a little 6-week course of this is what this is, and this, I would never have touched it. I probably would have done one or two things, but it would have been too complicated and it would have been too much. And I'd been, no, I'd rather be doing something
I
else.
think it would be a hard course to do completely self-paced without the ability to ask questions. I think because you're
Yes.
in a community like the Slack chat and because you've met everyone and because we have lots of breaks, a couple of breaks for Q&As, we do talk
Yes.
about when we're doing the building part of things, we are actually saying, anyone need to screenshot? Is anyone struggling in any way? And questions come up.
Yeah.
I think that is really helpful. And if you're in the replay, you could just be watching other people's questions and then just ask your own in the chat. I think if you didn't
Yes.
have access to the person who wrote the course or other people doing the course and you were trying to just do it yourself, I personally would probably run after about week 2. I don't think I could get through week 3 specifically. I
Yeah.
think once we hit Notion and Google, you need someone who's been using Notion for 5 years. You need someone who can say, actually, this is how this is the science behind how the technology is thinking, or this is what it's actually meant to do.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell
Definitely.
me, if I asked you to describe the state of your studio at the start of week 1, your specific studio, and then versus right now, what are the 2 most obvious differences for you?
The two most obvious is okay, definitely all the AI stuff, it's all in one. I don't have to keep explaining myself every tiny little thing I need to do. I literally go in there now, whereas before I was doing that every little chat, plug in this, plug in my bank account, plug in this. Now it's all there. Just go in, ask whatever I need, and it pulls it all out of there because the content and context and everything is already there, ready to go. So that's the biggest winner for me. Was my Google Drive and my Notion was everywhere. It was a mess. It would take me ages to find anything. I'd have to go through pages and pages. Whereas now it's so easy. Everything lives in this commercial brain. And then I've got my other little hub that everything else lives in that doesn't need to go in there. And that's it. 2 minutes, I know everything where it belongs. Whatever's new goes straight into something. And my Google Drive is the same. And they're linked together and it's just really nice that it's all come together and there's not I'm scrambling going from here to here. I know exactly where everything is. It's all nice and sorted.
It's strangely satisfying to be that level of organized, isn't it? Like when you once you see all your hubs laid out by topic category or marketing and operations, blah, 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 and you've got the matching projects, the matching Google Drives, you know what's supposed to go in which filing system because we've created that, right? We've
Yes.
learned
Exactly.
what good looks like, and then we've replicated that. Some people may have seen the 15-day challenge that I set myself before I wrote Studio
Yeah.
Build, where I was just on Instagram grabbing 20 minutes in school holidays and trying this and trying that. And mine was pretty good. And even I, at the end of it, was like, I'm not going to say smug, but I'm not going to say smug. I'm
Yeah.
feeling really good about how organized I am. It's like,
Yeah.
look around your studio sometimes when you've got a lot of projects on and samples are everywhere and you just think all week, I've got to tidy this up. I'm living in disarray. I hate it. I've got to tidy it up. But we get busy and we get on with things. And
Yeah.
there isn't one person that came into Studio Build smug. Nobody comes in and they're like, I run a high end, like I run a highly organized studio. I've got X amount of staff and everything is the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Because if they were like that, they weren't a good fit for Studio Build. I encouraged the mess. I think in one of the FAQs on my website, I was like, please don't clean before the cleaner comes. I look
Yeah.
so much more impressive if you bring me a really messy Notion because I can
Yes.
clean it up in 10 seconds with AI and you'll be like, what just happened? It is a fun moment. There are a couple of things
Yes.
inside Studio Build where people start almost screaming with delight when things
Yeah.
start happening with AI and they're not like hands
Yes.
off the computer, but it's like
All eyes, yeah.
fixing your life. It's so good.
And the thing is, I actually thought I was pretty organized before I came in.
Mm.
And there were a couple of things before I saw that. You said, don't clean it all up. I had started already doing that because I wanted to, but there wasn't much. And I actually thought I'm very organized already. And then I saw what we did. It's like, okay, I was not organized at all compared to this. So, yeah. No, it
At
was
least you
really
had the
good to
feeling of
hear that.
organization. That's, the
Yeah.
feeling is as good as being, really.
Yeah. No, I wasn't organized at all. It was a mess compared to the way we set it up. It was, yeah, it was great. I loved that. Now it's just so much easier.
And is it easy for you to keep up, like to the upkeep, like to keep it like that? Are you feeling like it's not one of those things where your kids finally clean their room once a quarter? You know, it's not
No,
going to.
no, it's definitely because now everything has its own little spot.
Yeah.
It's like cleaning out your kid's room yourself, and then you tidy it up every single day, basically.
Yeah.
It's
So
become
basically,
like
we're not going to get the kids involved because we've got a
no,
way better system.
that's exactly right. So everything just gets put straight away into where it needs to go, and that's it. It's done. So it's pretty sure I'm gonna be like it's always gonna be organized. There will always be something small here and there, but it's very quick to do. So you don't think about it. You just know where it belongs and put it straight in there.
And
Yeah.
if you get bad habits, if you build out bad habits and you start filling your desktop with saved items or whatnot, you now have the skill to know what AI tools could come in and wipe and clean. And as long as you've got the place that the AI tool knows where to park, like, so
That's
it's
right.
about filing, in, really, isn't it? Like the
Yeah,
AI tool, because of your strong processes and instructions, is like all the likes this here and here, put
yeah,
this in the marketing hub. This must live in the studio brain. It's got way more direction.
definitely.
And
Definitely.
last question for you, if somebody's thinking about doing studio build in either the July cohort or the one after, probably September, what would you tell them?
Don't hesitate. Honestly, it is the best thing I've ever done.
That's a big call. Ever done out of
Honestly,
anything?
no, honestly, for my studio,
Yeah.
honestly, I actually because I've done other things with you before and they were amazing and they were great. But this one was just helped me set up everything the way I needed it, and I don't have to think about it anymore. It's just made my life so much easier. I can get things done a lot faster. I can work with clients. Just the proposals alone has saved me 2, 3 hours worth of work and it gets done in 20 minutes instead. That to me is a huge win. It saves me time and I can do stuff while I'm doing other things. So AI is doing one thing for me and I'm doing something else rather than me doing one thing at a time. It's two people working at the same time. So I have my own little assistant helping me. It's the best thing for your studio. If you're thinking about it, I would definitely, yeah, recommend it. I'm so glad I did it.
I'm very glad that you did it.
You have you know how much you've helped me. I don't come from an office background. I come from a hair background,
Yeah.
that you don't have any kind of processes. You don't have any computer. We have a system for that's probably the most
The
computer
cashier system.
oriented. Yeah,
Bullshit and tape
to
money.
bookings and slots for that. And maybe there's a little bit of financing stuff in running a hair salon and a beauty salon. But other than that, it's all we don't need any AI stuff. We don't need any operations. We don't even have any systems in place. Our system is order this, whatever we're running out of, and book the customer in, and that's it. So I came from something like that and then started interior design, and I had no idea all the back end stuff. Yeah, I'm great at creating. I can make all the things, I can do all the proposals, all do the work, the creative side of things, but all the running business stuff, that was all new to me.
It's a
And
crash course in business, really, isn't it? You get
yeah,
color theory really well as a beautician or hair. You understand
yeah,
design deeply in your core, but
yeah.
no, it's not really just natural for you to be like, okay, here's the gross invoice, the net invoice, here's this. I'm going to go off and I really want to look at whether or not I could shave 20 minutes off this task, or do I need this many steps in that task? That's
Yeah,
so much. Sorry, I haven't even thought
yeah.
about it. Just ask me and I'll
Honestly,
tell you.
the first time, even in the first group that I joined, and you said the word SOP, and I was like, I
What?
didn't want to sound rude. What is that? I had to go search it. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I have no idea. And then when I learned, I'm like, okay, this makes more sense now. But I had no idea. And it's actually helped me a lot to learn all that with Studio Build helped a lot because it helped me organize it. Because after I found out what it was before, I still didn't know what to do with it. You
And
know?
then you get this skill obviously into play that helps support you through creating them and asking you
Yeah.
the right questions so that
Yeah.
yeah, and then once this is all done, which it is now, we're graduates from Studio Build, it's just everyday practice and execution so that you're able to just go and work less hours. I got to do this quite early. Adopting AI early meant that I got to be one of the pioneers of people who slam their laptop down at 3 o'clock and don't have to pick it back up again after years of night work and
Yeah.
2 a.m. mood boarding and all kinds of
I
nonsense.
can't wait till I do that.
Yeah, and you're on the way. Being able to have that nice system, if
Yeah.
you've got extra work, it's only because you've hustled too close to the sun or you've taken on extra work. It's not because the actual system that you have in your business takes too long. It's because
No.
yes to too many things. That's a
The
different
systems
argument.
there now, and obviously I'm
Yeah.
still building all the SOPs and all because I had them before from
Mm,
Brainwork,
yeah.
but not the way I wanted them because I didn't really understand them back then.
Yeah.
So now that I've know a little bit more now that I've got that, I'm redoing most of them.
Yeah, and they'll
So
evolve all the time. My
yeah,
SOPs still evolve quarterly, annually, or
of
one
course.
particular one I'm like, "Oh, that feels really outdated. I'm gonna run that back through the skill, and I'm just gonna chat again about how I can improve it because I think there's scope to improve it. I don't think I've nailed it, or I want some other eyes on it."
Yeah, and I think I wrote them when I did emerging designers, and that was
Mm.
good. But they were I was still learning how I wanted to
Yeah,
do certain things.
and
So now,
hypothetical too, because they weren't based on real work. They were
yeah,
based on what you think you wanna do when you get clients.
yeah, yeah. And even with the clients that I did have, they were like my first 5 or 6 clients were all just different types of jobs. They weren't exactly what I wanted. I was trying to use a bit of both and organize it that way. But now that I've had jobs, it's a little bit different. I know the steps that I want to take and I know what to eliminate. So yeah, it's made a huge difference, honestly.
I'm just plugging in my computer so it doesn't die before I speak to Emily.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's been good, honestly. And I'm still working on a lot of things, skills I'm still doing, just trying to organize all the weeks. And I keep going back because I've downloaded the video. So I keep
Mhm.
going back and rewatching in case I've forgotten something.
Yeah.
And then obviously on Slack, we have that as well. But slowly, I think I've built a fair bit. I did a proposal the other day, and that was the first time, and I did it in half an hour. And then from that, now I'm building the skill to do it all the time. I was
Do
like,
you get a little bit this might just be me, but the first time I did a proposal that would used to have taken me half a day, and then I would spend the other half of the day spiraling over the money amount at the end or whatever. When I got it down to a 15-minute task, it feels it feels more like cheating, and it feels like it's wrong because it's so
yeah,
easy. So it
yeah,
actually feels like I'm side-eyeing it all the time. There's got to be some I don't trust this technology.
yeah.
It's so
It's
good.
something. And I read it about 4 times, and there's something missing there. How did you just do this for me in half an hour? It would have taken me all day to do
Yeah.
this. Like,
And
no,
that's that
something's not
mindset
right.
shift that we
Yeah.
talk about in going and becoming more of the creative director and just being in charge of editing everything when it lands on your desk instead of having to create everything on the desk and then edit it all. Too. So thank you for coming to chat about it today. Thanks, Ola. Thanks for your
Thank you
time.
so much, Rhiannon.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
Emily Beer is the founder of Musa Studio based in Jindabyne in the Snowy Mountains. She works across residential and commercial projects and joined Studio Build this cohort to build the infrastructure behind her studio. She had already done Studio CEO with me and she finished up that 12-week course the week before Studio Build, the beta round launched, and she immediately went from 12 weeks into the 8-week program. This has helped her compound a lot of the stuff we did in CEO is around business, strategy, digital, local area marketing, and that sort of stuff. But what we do in Studio Build had a lot more to do with her having the documentation of all of those decisions in a place outside of AI that she could use to just plug it all in. So I'll let Em tell you in her own words. She's done some private coaching with me as well. So she has been in my world for quite a long time. But I think Studio Build was just the puzzle piece that actually clicked all of that other work into place. So let's chat to Em. Do you know what is interesting about asking Claude to write the questions for this and then what it came up with? It's a really good use case or a good example of how well everything goes when it's in one project with so much context because Claude went immediately to the transcripts of all 6 weeks and every time you spoke or what you did. And the first question it says is, Emily, you were literally doing studio build from a car. That's commitment or chaos, depending on how you look at it. What was going on in your business at that point that made you decide to enroll anyway? But a level of detail out of the transcript decided to call you chaotic car, like some sort of car rat. Don't know what it is.
Probably me just like hushing my partner or probably going through a red light. I wasn't driving. That was probably that chaotic of being in a car. You're just like, oh, get in the zone.
That's so funny. I did want to know though, because in all the discovery calls and all the like sales page building and all that sort of thing, it is a really complicated course to explain because even as you're learning it, you come in and you're not quite sure what it is until you learn, like you unpack layer by layer until it makes sense to you. So before you did Studio Build, What did you think it was? And then what was it when you finished?
I guess just from the beginning, the main reason why I started Studio Builder, I was in the Studio CEO and I was just got so much out of Studio CEO. I really wanted to dive into your brain and your world of Studio Build. And as soon as you said that you were doing another course, I was like, oh, absolutely, I'm in. So I don't know, it was one of those things. And I was just like, I need to be across AI more. So what did I think it was? I think you had given us a brief description.
Because you guys were in Studio CEO while I built Studio Build. So when we were catching up weekly, you're like, how's your week been? It's like, oh, I've been pulling together this resource and thinking about this. And you got a bit of a behind the scenes look.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I was just really inspired by your passion as well. And just there's so many things that as a designer, we've got to be across. And so it's just having someone like yourself that's just so across it. I'm like, of course I would pay to be in your brain. Yeah. Like,
By the way, just side note, you're not actually allowed in my brain.
yeah, totally. That wasn't when we'll get there. So I think it was just jumping on that. Hate to call it a bandwagon, but it was just like this moving ocean that AI is. So it's trying to be ahead of it and being invested in it and interested in it because we're reading so much online. There's so much information. So it's just really just doing the yes and getting involved and being in it and keeping me accountable as well, which I was finding what Studio CEO helped do was that every week. So I was like, oh, of course, that's the same structure to Studio Build. We're meeting once a week. Then I'm being held accountable because it's in my calendar. It's red. It's not moving. And that's what really helped to get it across the line for me.
It's interesting because you talked about like all the additional noise and everyone's talking about AI and adopting AI into studios and integrating AI. And I think for designers specifically, not everyone's actually talking about how that relates to a design studio because it's quite different. We have a very unique way of working and more often than not, it looks held together on the outside. And this is not a reflection of you, but most of the discovery calls that I have,
Thank God they did it.
people are honestly just, oh, there's one thing I just have to tell you. Systems is a dirty word around here. I don't have any. Is that okay? Or somewhere about the 70% mark of the phone call, someone says, I only use Dropbox. I don't have Google. I've never used Notion. I haven't really delved into AI yet. Am I all right to do this course? And I think, it is really interesting how quickly people, because we put on such a professional facade as designers, it's all about the blazer, it's about showing up, it's networking, it's chatting, but we're not talking honestly and openly about what's happening behind the scenes in these businesses. We're just trying to survive the somewhat disastrous at times process that you've got. So do you feel like, I guess from week 1 to week 6, what changed for you?
What changed was I was like, oh, okay, we're going to learn about AI, which we do. And I had heard of Claude, but I hadn't tapped into that. I was just briefly in ChatGPT. But what really changed for me was my business structure and how I can use the bones, creating my business, using the bones of that to work with AI. And I remember you had previously mentioned that you can obviously sit there and teach us everything that you know about Claude, which is a lot. But in 6 months' time, there may be another software. So it was really just digging deep into the bones of my business and just being ready. I'm just creating a system that, as you call it, a large language. The nerds call it the large language model.
I'll also take that. That's fine. I will be one of them.
So it's just really just that. It was just setting up the structure of my business so I can propel it forward and being ready for any sort of AI integration. Because I didn't have that structure before, which has been an absolute game changer. And I didn't think that I was going to get that much out of the business side of this course. I think that's what kind of surprised me.
What does your relationship with Claude actually look like day to day now? Obviously, if you hadn't really met Claude before this and you'd been dabbling in or jumping in, probably prompting, asking a few questions, doing a bit of feedback and editing with ChatGPT, what are you using Claude for now that looks totally different?
Yeah, so I actually have, she called Posey, but my daily briefing, lovely ladies, pretty much an assistant. So every morning she will jump on to my Slack and then mention, just filter out the noise from my emails, look at my Google Calendar, just give me a daily briefing, which has been a game changer. So I set that to 8 a.m. Have a look at that. Great, ready to go. And it just comes up on my phone.
Are you using it? Do you find it helpful?
Oh, incredibly helpful. She'll read emails that I had one potentially missed or just restructuring that I was like, oh, that's a really smart way of doing that. So that,
She also
yeah.
sounds so judgy sometimes. I'm like, Posey, I go in and she's like, you haven't posted that content you've got ready in the content calendar for 9 days straight. You've ignored, she essentially is pulling sass and being like, you've ignored this same message 9 days in a row. Post it or delete it because you're wasting my time. That's how it feels.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the judgment's real. She's great. But again, it's key picks. So it feels like you have someone, I guess being a solo interior designer, it feel like you're missing that kind of collaboration. So it feels like I have to answer to someone else. So she's great. So that's, I guess, first thing in the morning before I've even emailed a client, she's there. And then I've also weekly, fortnightly, I will have my calendar reorganized. So that's another great thing. So then I'm looking at that overall. So everything that I'm using, I am still checking and going through. So then my calendar's organized. Another example is I do my weekly client, like fortnightly client emails. So that's, I've just set up the skills that you had helped us create. I hadn't even worked in skills before. So created the skills, so fortnightly emails go out to clients saying where I'm up to, what I've been up to, what's projected, any issues or anything, just really streamlining that side of the business so I can stay creative and I can be doing creative work.
Do you notice more time for it though? Honestly, like now that you've set things up, do you feel like the mix of administration and creativity has literally changed in any way?
I personally do. And for me, it's, if anything, it's the mental load as well. So it's like the organized. If, okay, that's on my Thursday, that's on my Friday. I just have a lot of structure now to what I should be doing and when. Because creativity, I personally can't be like, okay, so I'm going to do 3 hours of creative thinking. It's that 3 a.m. and
We're not on demand.
it's not that. So it's the 3 a.m. wake ups where you're just like, or you try and avoid those. But it's that weekend where I just have that capacity to breathe and just park my mental load. And so I can keep as much in my head creative. And then the park stuff that doesn't spark me up, I've got systems now. So I can rely on Claude whilst checking that silence my brain. So yeah, so I personally do feel like I've had lots of time now to tap into my creative project.
So we joked about at the start you joining from the car and committing. Did you struggle with the commitment? Because I know one of the biggest things that I hear is, oh, I don't know how I'm going to find the time. Now's not the time. And I just I think I even put this on the website, like the quiet week is never coming. If you're running a successful business, hopefully you're just getting busier and busier. And what I really want for designers is to get better and better so that they can claw back time, so that if you can save 15 hours, you then actually don't feel that pinch that you couldn't do some personal development, you couldn't do additional creative work or just time with the kids, time with your partner, time on the beach, like whatever that looks like. But it's a huge kind of thing to get over in your own head. Was that a challenge for you in terms of signing up and actually taking the time to do the program?
Yeah, I think for me, if it's in my calendar in red, then that's it. And I've got to be very selective with what I mark in red. And that's a non-negotiable for me. So I was like, okay, so it's our course once a week. And then of an evening, it's tapping into what has been taught in that class. But I was
So you were doing it like homework time. So you were doing it in your own time to catch up so that it didn't feel like it was pulling from project pipeline.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how I handled it. And whether it was like a Sunday night with a cup of tea or, yeah, it was just my time where I can sit and switch off because I know my clients aren't going to be calling me at 8 p.m. or builders. So that's when I was doing homework. But it's definitely, it was like, how can I find this time? Because we are I try and be not so reactive. I am quite reactive at the moment. I get quite a young business, so I still am trying to work out not being so reactive when I get a phone call, when you can choose. So so I was very much, I don't know if I've got the time for this, and you just have to make it. I just had to be like, no, this is my time on a Tuesday, 90 minutes or whatever, and just knock it in. So that's how I got around that.
It's so good. It's just commitment to your future self, isn't it? Like, recognizing and being self-aware. Like, I am a junior business as such. Anything under 5 years, I'm still patching through it and working it out. You know that the time that you're putting in is going to pay off tenfold, because you'll be one of the smug, like, laptop closers later on, where you are like, oh no, that's fine. That's gone off to Posey, or the board of directors are discussing it right now while I'm out at dinner, and then I'll get a recommendation and decide what I want to do later.
Yeah, exactly.
So, given that you've been through Studio CEO and then now Studio Build, if you were talking to somebody who's thinking about Studio Build, what would you tell them? And give us the 411 on the lived experience, because anyone can read a sales page, anyone can have someone else rave about how it worked for them or whatnot, but no one really knows until you've done all 6 weeks what that course was like.
Yeah, so I guess pre-course, I was very much, it feels like, I've got to obviously clean up my Google Drive, or that's something that Rhiannon will also talk to you guys who was listening about setting up that. But I was like, I need to clean this up. I need to make sure my systems are ready, so I'm ready to go with the course. But actually, throughout the course, you gave us tips and tricks of what we can use AI to clean those things up. So I went, oh, okay, got you. So for me, it was really, just, I hadn't even worked with Notion before. So it was just learning. I think you had mentioned about the pyramid, working systems. So my Google Drive, Notion, and then with Claude. So using that kind of trifecta that they can all speak to each other, and just gaining more hours. And I'm not in a position I will be, but it was saying about really wanting to get an assistant. I guess I'm at that stage where I was like, I'm really grateful that I've got work coming in, but do I start paying for an assistant? Do I start paying for someone to control my social media, my marketing, my Google posts? But it's really just let my bandwidth stretch. And how's AI being that person? I don't want to take jobs away from people, but it's then saying, okay, potentially to an assistant, these are your staff members, which are the AI. And then an assistant potentially could then use AI, but I've already set up my SOPs so they can come in and read everything that's structured. So it's really just structuring my back of end that I hadn't even started an SOP before meeting you. It was just like, that's not even on I'm like, oh, I'm an interior designer. I make incredible, beautiful spaces, and I feel creative. And the business was a whole different part of my brain. So,
and you work out how as you go. You're like, oh, don't ask me questions. I just do it, right? You just go
Yeah.
home and you're like, it got done, didn't it? You paid me, I delivered, didn't I?
Well, more do you want from me? Yeah, so it's definitely that. I think it was playing with the other side of my brain and learning that section of the business, which been a tenfold. And it wasn't even the AI. It's why obviously the AI and your knowledge is incredible. But I've really got the business side and the business structure that I can take on for the next 20, 30 years, which I'm just building the foundations, which is just so exciting.
I love that. Fellow nerds unite. You're now excited about the CRMs and the documentation. But also, I think it's a really good point for anyone listening that it's not a 6-week AI course. It's just not. We only do week 2. And of course, every time we're doing anything else in any of the other weeks, I'm like, this is how this could be connected to AI. And this is why we're building it, because this is when we've built it. This is what it looks like when AI can talk to this document. But we don't actually just sit in Claude for 6 weeks. It actually only happens in week 2, and then a little bit more advanced in week 6.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's also, you mentioned about how you can take this further. It's not just saying, these are your 6 weeks. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Bye. And then we're just like, oh, what do? We now have our structures. And then we are using every day, every week, every month. And then we've got our quarterlies. And then we've got coming up financial year. And it's those kind of systems which you gain from just 6 weeks.
Amazing. Did you see Jane's message in the community chat on Friday night last week, where she's, she built this skill that onboarded and then dropped the data details into the legal agreement and then drafted the to-do, it connected to her to-do list for tomorrow to look over and authorize what it done. It had pre-written the email and it had drafted the invoice for her in one skill. It basically just onboarded and created the right contract documentation, invoice, everything, and it was sitting in her emails ready to go out the next day once she'd read through it all. And that was like Friday night last week. She sent that on Slack, and I was just cooking, hanging out, and I was like, "Excuse me, what?" She didn't remember week 2 we were doing Claude, and she was like, "I haven't actually downloaded it yet. Hang on, I'll just pay for it." So she has gone from literally not using any AI like that to building something that even you were like, "What? I'm going to message her and get it. I want it."
Totally. Yeah. And it's that community as well, right? That we are seeding from each other. And then it's that give and take and then adding in our wins. But that was just such a good one. I was like, Friday night, this is what we're enjoying doing.
I know she was like, I've got a glass of wine. I'm building skills. I was like, "You do you? Like,
What a Friday
welcome
night.
to the nerd hole. I promised I wasn't going to indoctrinate you all, but I accidentally will."
Yeah, we're all locked in. We're in.
Amazing. Thanks, Em. Thanks for coming to have a chat. Thanks for coming to have a chat about Studio Build. Already a couple of people, because you are on my sales page, a little excerpt of a testimonial you gave me ages ago, and already a couple of people have reached out directly to your DMs to ask you questions. So whilst you're not on my wage list, I don't pay for you. This is not a paid ad or a testimonial. I'm sure if anyone has any legit questions that they don't want to ask me, but they do want to ask someone, they can visit you with your link in the show notes, visit your Instagram, check out what you do and reach out.
Yeah, totally. Always willing to connect and talk and through lived experiences. I think it's super important in this open community. So, yeah.
Thank you. I agree so much. I think that this industry has been burned quite a few times in the last 8 years that I've had my business, and I've just seen different instances of all sorts of business coaches, all sorts of programs. Some are smoke and mirrors and some are super legit, and it's really worth doing your own investigation beforehand. I would say to anyone, if you're putting over $1,000 across the table, be obsessed with that decision. Don't just think, "Oh, hopefully she'll just bring AI in and magically fix everything." Ask the right questions, because not everyone is a good fit as well. We were even speaking a few weeks ago, someone who was interested, but it was just not a good fit. And I will always be honest and say, "Hey, why don't you go work on X, Y, and Z in terms of professional development, and then circle back at the end of the year and you might be ready to go." So if you're ever worried, anyone listening, ever worried that you're not ready, or you want to talk about that secret systems in the back end before you commit to stuff, a one-on-one phone call is the best way to do it, because I will absolutely call you out if you're not ready.
Yeah, no, amazing. The honesty is there. That's for sure.
Amazing. Thanks, Em. All right.
Thanks so
We'll
much for
chat to you soon.
Jenny. Bye.
Okay, you can stay here now. Do you know what is interesting about asking Claude to write the questions for this and then what it came up with? It's a real... Natasha Kennedy leads Project N, a studio built on over 20 years of creative direction, interior design, and spatial storytelling. She works across brand environments, cultural projects, showrooms, residential by application. One of those studios where the work is hard to categorize because it doesn't follow the usual script. So Natasha and I sat down and she has unpacked how she's made Studio Build work for her studio and what it's given her. You are managing multiple brand clients, and I won't list them here for their own confidentiality. I won't go through all the brands that you are managing, but also building exhibition stands, like having retainer clients while doing studio build from hotel rooms and event venues. Like the timing kind of all collided to these big things like the design show and other stuff that we had on. Talk to me about how you were operating before Studio Build and what was the actual problem that you were trying to solve when you joined?
I think that before Studio Build, I was winging it, and doing Studio Build just helped me feel much more confident with AI, with Notion, with building this ecosystem for the business and managing the different types of activity that I do within the business properly. I felt like a lot of that was inside my head for a really long time. And after doing the Studio Build, it feels like it's actually documented and it's real and it's living. And then moving towards the next steps of growing the business, I'm more confident that I can start passing it on to other people to pick up, and it will be done as I want it to be done.
Interesting, because not a lot of the other women inside of Studio Build had multiple clients, if you will. Like, we talk about clients from the lens of a particular design project, like a residential or a commercial, whereas you manage like a lot more moving parts for different brands, almost being able to take something like the brand command center and build out one per client. Has that been helpful? Are you just like like duplicating what you've learned for your business across all the brands that you're managing, or how have you approached it?
It's really forced me to think about the individual brands, because there was a tendency before for things to meld into one, whereas I really have had to get down to the branding of each of the brands that I work for, just given the nature of the work that I do with them. But it's exciting. I was talking to some colleagues or designers that I hadn't seen for ages that I used to work with on the weekend, and they were so amped when I was telling them about the type of work that I'm doing with AI, the way I'm integrating Notion and Claude and my Google Drive, and I've got this whole ecosystem going on. It's really exciting stuff, and it's an exciting time, I think, to be a designer and feel like you're actually up to speed with what's happening in the world when it comes to AI and client expectations and all those sorts of things. I know a lot of people look, there's always that talk of generating images for AI and through AI for projects, that I've really tried to keep away from that and focus the business or the businesses on the back end and all of the things that suck a lot of time, just to be able to put them into AI and use that as a support and be much more responsive for projects, and then protect that creative energy and focus that into my little sweet spot or my element of where I actually really enjoy doing things.
That sort of pivots our conversations around hourly rates and value pricing and whatnot. And when you keep creativity as your role, you have to also get good at understanding how much value that creation has, rather than using a quick fix and a tool, because we know that AI can do the render, it can mock it all up. But you're essentially saying, no, hey, instead of charging people for the email back and forth and the chains of admin that needs to happen, it's all repackaged in a way, isn't it? Where the pricing includes your free mind to create and really come up with something unique and unusual and what they're essentially hiring you for. But you don't feel nearly as frazzled behind the scenes around, I pitched it to you like that, but essentially you were actually paying for 8 hours of this administration and 8 hours of this. And behind the scenes, we know we're like, oh, we don't do very much creating. It's much more than that goes into it. And when you can get support for all those additional moving cogs so that you can stay in the creative areas, you don't feel a need to outsource that to AI. It's actually the fun work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about just having those processes and streamlining things like transcribing or recording client meetings, bringing that back, doing a return brief immediately, and being like, you have to be really responsive with clients now. Everyone expects things really quickly. And if we aren't responding quickly, that's when we lose opportunities. That's probably they're the parts I'm really pushing it in my business, and developing those processes and just gathering the right information, putting it into AI, and it's spitting out essentially documents for me to move a project forward, to get that yes. Like, that is gold, because that would be taking so much time and like mental energy.
And
Whereas,
by the time you get to the yes point, you're exhausted from
yeah,
the like preparation point. You don't have anything in the tank to create.
that is so true. So true. Yeah. They're the things, they're the places where I'm saving time and I'm being more efficient. And yeah, it's just giving me much more creative space to do what I love.
I've got a memory of a couple of things that I want to bring up that happened inside of the course. The first was probably when we did playbooks, and we were creating some playbooks, and you said that you created like a trend playbook and it supported a pitch immediately. Once you learnt the skill of doing that, you were able to create the playbook, use it to support a pitch to a brand. And that was like Studio Build working in real time, because that happened in the week that we did it. Was that what you expected when you signed up? Did you think there'd be things that you'd be like implementing, building, and executing like all in one, like in the one session?
No, I didn't think it would be happening that quickly. Like, I honestly, that was super exciting to be able to do that. And to do it in real time and see it there as a resource and feed into a concept or a pitch to a client almost immediately, that was really exciting, like super exciting.
There was a couple of excited face moments I saw from your little square in the big group gallery view of the Zoom. And I think the second one was definitely the downloads and seeing like that you could tidy everything up. So sometimes if we are if we're getting a little bit lax on whether or not things are filed, we do a bit of an exercise where we look for duplicates at least, because duplicates are a quick win because you know you've got one saved version. We can get rid of the duplicates. And I think yours was by far the biggest win when we did that exercise.
Yes, I am that person that has 90,000 unread emails in all my multiple inboxes type thing. So yeah, that has been like lifted a massive mental load, knowing that I can just use these resources to get things tied in, to get the back end organized really easily, because they're the things that you always go, okay, I'll do it over the Christmas holidays, or I'll
Who's doing that? Oh,
no.
my best one. Every time I board a flight, I'm like, I'm cleaning up my camera roll and I'm going to build little folders and I'm going to do this. And then I get on there and I'm like, I'll have a wine, thanks, and I'm going to watch all of Gossip Girl again. That's it. Like, I'm not doing that. I earn this time away. My kids, whatever. Like, I think you're right. Summer holidays, other like times where you think there's a pocket of focus, but then there's always something better to do if you can get someone, if you know now you've learned the skill that if something gets out of hand again, you could tidy it up in literally seconds. It's such a relief, right?
And I might actually be able to enjoy summer holidays without feeling guilty that I'm not doing all these other things.
Yeah, by the lake with the kids or river with the kids or something, and you're there swiping right to delete. Because why is it still manual? Love that. And then the last one that I think I really remember a conversation inside of one of the weeks, and may have even been early, like week 2. I feel like you said to me that you felt like an EV driver now, and you would be really giving smug, if you will, because it was getting so organized.
Absolutely. That was like probably one of the most likely or accurate comparisons that I have said that relates to the studio build. A few friends of mine have got electric vehicles recently, and they are very smug, especially when we all complain about filling up our tank of fuel. But that's exactly how I feel being part of Studio Build. Like, I'm smashing it. I'm absolutely turning things around super fast. It's literally like I've got a team of people behind me helping me out. And honestly, from a career point of view, I've never felt freer and better and more accomplished. It's just like the highlight of my career, to be honest. And it's all because I've been able to get this support from Studio Build and get things organized. And yeah, it's great.
And get
I'm
your
like-
EV on the road.
like
Get
a
the smug.
EV driver.
Once you've had smug, you never go back. That's
No.
the thing as well. Like, you're not going back to a disorganized, and I'm not throwing any shade that you're a disorganized person.
But
Everyone
I am actually.
everyone that arrives is like that, though. Like, talking about having a conversation that can reassure people who are maybe just listening to this and they're maybe not doing this round, they might do the next or the one after. You don't need to pause and have time to get things in order. Like, the whole point of Studio Build is to supportively build it once and build it right and understand like what it could look like, what it should look like, so that AI understands what you've actually built, instead of just going on winging it and going out there and going, oh no, it's good. I saw what you were offering on the sales page and I built 3 of those things. They're just never going to have that connectivity.
Yeah. And when I did the Studio Build, it was one of probably the busiest times of the year for me. I had some really big jobs that were bumping in. I was interstate for 10 days of it, but I still managed to make it happen every week, like locking in that space and that time over those 6 weeks and committing to it. There was accountability. And I was, as many others in the group were, we were doing it remotely. We were doing it from other locations other than our office. It was really good to have that accountability and just make it work.
And sometimes it's the pace. Like I've said it before, I don't apologize for the pace. It is fast paced, but there's a lot of resources and support and user guides and stuff to get it done. But I want to share so much and I want to get it done right that it has to go that fast, or we'd have to spend 9 months together and no one would ever have the time to do that, like to drip
And by
it
that
out.
time, all of the information's redundant anyway. Like
Yeah, 100% with
fast.
AI. What I really loved is everybody just dug in, and once they could see some changes or think, okay, I understand how this is all working now. I want this life. I want more Posies or EAs or automations. I think everyone really committed to the extra work suddenly got less drainer and more exciting because people were like, oh, if I do it now, I just know I don't have to redo this again.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really good, even though all of the designers that were in the group have different specialist areas, it's really good just to, and whilst there's not a lot of talking, but just to know that they're up against the same sort of challenges and seeing the way they solve things, like jumping in and out of the Slack channel. And there's that constant communication that's happening over that period of time, which is also really helpful.
It was really interesting, wasn't it? We had a landscape designer, we had people in there with 30 years plus experience, we had people who've never had a client before that were just like, I want to set it up right and started to finish. And I don't think that was a problem at all. I didn't see anyone be like, I'm somewhere lost in the middle ground. I just thought everyone did so well. Just asked the questions when they needed to be asked, DM me if they needed to, or brought it to Slack if it felt like it would slow everyone down, or gave it a go with the user guide. And then if they were still blocked, then there was a question, but that just really wasn't happening. I thought it was really impressive to me that a room with that much variation, even in industries, was like, yep, got it. I have my commercial brain set up.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the tools there are amazing and you've got them there as a resource. And so it's not just a session when you're actually implementing them, but you've got it there as something that you can go back to later, or the recordings as well too. Yeah,
Have you been revisiting much? Do you feel like you actually have been like, oh, I need to remind myself on what this is or where Notion does this or?
Yeah, I have, because I've put everything into a folder.
Yeah.
And the recordings, and I've downloaded the recordings. So when it's really convenient, because you can just go to the week where the topic was discussed. So if you've hit a wall with something.
Fast forward me, put me
Yeah.
on 2 speed until you find, can you imagine listening to that? I'm very sure there's nobody out there that listens to my podcast at 2 speed.
Oh, sometimes.
Really? How fast does your brain work?
I'm on time. It's only got so much time to do it. But yeah.
That's so funny. And just lastly, if somebody is thinking about doing studio build, I really want to get an accurate depiction from someone who's been through it. So you've done 2 courses with me, as have many of the people that were in studio build. A lot of the girls are just like, it was a no-brainer. The next thing that came out, I jumped straight in. But a lot of people have done 0 courses with me. So they're super trepidatious and will this deliver? Won't it deliver? And what will it feel like in there? Am I capable of doing it? I'd love to hear from you what your fears were, what happened and how it felt to be inside.
I think if someone hasn't worked with you before, my advice would be just do it. Jump in, and it doesn't matter what, you don't need to know a lot. You've just got to be open to learn and adapt it to your business. And there's always that support there from you along the way to make sure it works for your business and the way you like to work as well too. Honestly, like I said before, it's changed my work life in so many ways, and it's given me more time to spend with my kids, that's been valuable. When you're managing as many brands as I do, it can become overwhelming, like the workload and the long nights and so forth. But knowing that everything's organized in the back end and that you've got a team that's literally behind you and doing work the way you want it to be done, I'm like, sign up, just sign up. It changes everything.
It's so lovely to hear, because I was just reflecting the other day. I think it's only like 12 months since we met. So I met you at Decor and Design last year. You had done an exhibition stand. You'd already signed up for the Studio CEO course, but we hadn't physically met, or we hadn't dialed in yet. I don't know what was happening. It was like going to kick off in 4 weeks or something. We met there. But that's coming up in 2 weeks' time, and that's 12 months. And seeing where you were and the conversations that we had, and knowing where you're at in your EV of business is so exciting to me, because you've done all the work, but it's really, there's such a buzzword around transformations, and it's incredible. I look at where you are now and it's nothing like the person that came in and what they hoped to even get. I don't even think you knew what you wanted. You just wanted it to feel easier and not be like up at 2 a.m. because you can't keep on top of the work. And so I'm loving this for you.
Yeah, no, me too. I think that as a solo designer, it can get really lonely. And I think just from the personality type of a designer is one that really craves connection, and having that connection to that community that you've created is it's worth its weight in gold, other than the courses itself. But that community, that sense of community and the support from other designers, it's so incredibly valuable.
Oh, it's so nice. It makes me laugh because I'm like, that's why I built everything that I built. I built myself 32 imaginary friends and a whole community of girls I can chat to all day, every day. I changed my job from lonely solopreneur doing interior design to what can I do so everyone dials in and we chat. It's really nice to feel like you've built that community, but it's also everybody wins. I guess I'm trying to say that I also win. I'd be sitting in here just doing my design work if I hadn't had this community, and then it would be so much less fulfilling as it's been in the last sort of 4 years of having courses and women dialing in every week. It's lots of fun.
Even to like with the design show, when we got to meet up with all of the wonderful women from past cohorts, it was fantastic. It was great to meet people face to face and really develop connections. And they're all people that I'm now talking to separately as well too. It's a really valuable network that is part of this.
You're in one of those WhatsApp groups that kick me out, aren't you?
Yeah.
One of those smug WhatsApp groups that I'm not invited to, but I also can't be in because I can't be doing free coaching inside of WhatsApp groups.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you, Natasha. Thanks for joining me. And I'll put all your links to where you were at and what you do and stuff in the show notes in case someone wants to come and follow.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, bye. There we are. 3 very different designers running very different businesses who've all managed to make Studio Build work for them. If you're interested in joining one of the last 2 places, reach out and see if they are in fact even left. They'll close on July the 5th so that I can prepare everyone to go live on July the 7th. I have quite a few American students in this round as well as our Australian ones, so we have managed that time difference well. And if you would like to be one of the first to be on the September cohort, as of the 7th of July, that will go live on my website. So you can research that at rhiannon-lee.com. Go and have a look at what Studio Build is and what it will do for your studio, how you build this ecosystem outside of AI so that it's ready to plug into no matter what tools are released. I have got a bank of amazing, generous guests coming up. I had a broken webcam and I've replaced all my equipment at end of financial year. So I've got a bunch of women who were in line to be interviewed, ready to go. So I'm going to bulk do that in the next couple of weeks and then share them out with you over the next couple of months. So I'm really excited to share those conversations. There'll be a solo episode from me again next week and then a little break while I'm on stage at Decor and Design. I am running a 90-minute seminar in the International Seminar Series for Decor and Design from 1:30 till 3 p.m. on the first day, on the Wednesday, the 15th of July. I hope I'll see you there. If you do see me wandering around, please come and say hi. If you'd like to have lunch with the design community, it is fantastic. The one in Sydney was insane. So much fun. I think Natasha even talked about it in this episode. I will be organising a lunch on the Thursday and everyone is welcome. You don't have to be as part of my community already. If you just want to have lunch with a bunch of designers who are really well connected, love to talk all things design and business, then please do reach out in my DMs on Instagram at @the_Rhiannon Lee and I'll save you a seat. Bye for now.